p.m. I would like to point out that Joyce Riley and Nitras Bennett are excused. And if we could say Kathy Harley, here.
Oh, right, here.
Don Petrini.
Oh, do you want me to say the name or that?
It doesn't matter.
Dawn Patrini's here.
Mr. Doherty.
Kevin Doherty's here.
Diana Lundy's here.
Llewellyn. Thank you all. We have elections and resignations. So we have to accept the resignation of our Vice President, Joyce Riley. She had said that this has been covered in our August meeting. And we have to take a motion to accept the resignation.
So moved, and I would ask the secretary to write a letter thanking her for her service, both as president and vice president in trying times.
Please note that Mrs. Debbie is here. Debbie, sit up here. Sit here.
You can see.
You can-
Right after me. That way you reach again. I'm sorry, was there a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, we have a nomination for vice president. Would anyone like to nominate someone for vice president?
Let's see, who's not here tonight?
Other than Joyce, it's just Nitras.
So I talked to Mrs. Riley today, and she said if it was all right, she would like to rescind her nomination, her role as vice president, and be possible vice president again. So if that is okay with everyone, I would need someone to make a motion and a second.
Then you know I have to write a letter now. I'll motion.
Do we have a second? Mrs. Harley? All in favor?
Don't
This is just information.
I'm sorry, I missed that. It was motioned by Don and seconded by
Kathy.
Thank you.
And after the July meeting, Mr. Conrad had reached out to me and said that, he's unfortunately going to have to step down due to a lot of family things, so it's just a resignation of trustee again.
We do have to accept that resignation so that there's a vacancy.
Okay,
So I would move that we do that.
right? All in favor?
Aye.
So that means now we have to find somebody else to fill that spot. Line up and volunteer, so.
I actually do have someone that's interested, so
Oh, good.
if it's okay with the board, I will reach out to them. I don't know how that whole process works, and they would only be on until the next.
Until the next election, that person would stand for election. But the way our elections work is the highest vote getter gets the 5 or the 4-year
Right,
term
the highest.
and works down. So it's not, the school board is a little different, because if you're filling an unexpired term, you're actually running for that unexpired term. So you could be appointed, then you run for a 2-year term, then you run for the 5-year term. That's not the way it works here. It would be a vacancy, but
Right,
it would be a 2-year vacancy or whatever. And then as the votes are tallied, the first person gets the 4-year, the second person gets the shortened term. Not necessarily the person who's appointed.
next on the agenda is to review and adopt our agenda. So we need a motion. Ms. Carney, with a second.
Second. Oh, okay.
Everybody.
Moved by Kathy, unanimously seconded.
And it is, either Debbie, Mrs. Switchery, and Mr. Norby for the second. And then all in favor?
Aye.
Public forum opportunity? Now we have the review and potential adoption of the regular minutes held on July 14th. And you have those in your packet. And if you'd like me to go down to them, or if there are any changes, corrections, anything. If not, I would look for a motion.
I move the minutes be accepted as they were presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
move on to the director's report. I hope you all had a chance to read them. The director spent a lot of time on that, and I will put them in here.
Okay, I didn't print it in color, so what I did was take the report from the last meeting where we didn't meet and just add it to it rather than give you two reports. So since this occurred, no, I'm looking at it going, so last night was the open house. When I reported it, it hadn't taken place yet. So I just want to tell you that that was a very good use of time to have the library go and be represented for a couple of hours. What I did was take a big sign of the book vending machine, and it attracted enough attention. People asked questions, and I gave out a whole bunch of little coins to kids going, because they're asking questions. Who better to give it to? So that was that. The EV chargers on here, they are in the building. They arrived today. So that's why that's not there. I will be checking with Nathan London tomorrow. But at the time I sent this out, I was very worried about the state because they were starting to say, you know, if you don't have this done, and what was I supposed to do? In the news articles are just there. You read them. Under new projects, this was the meeting with Kirk Narver from King & King, and it was a really good walkthrough with him to look at some of the things around here. And Linda was there, Kevin was there, I was there, and Dawn was there. I wouldn't leave you out, I promise. You are too important. So these are just some of the things we talked about. In addition to that, we're having trouble with the front door, and that's not in here because I didn't have anything to report until 3 o'clock this afternoon. I had reached out to Kelly Brothers, who originally installed the door. I wasn't satisfied with the information I was getting back for a bid that was over $9,000. So I called Kurt Nerberg as the architect and said, do you have anybody to recommend? Gave me another name. The man's coming out Monday to take a look, and I will have something to report after that. But the handicap door openers are not consistently working, and sometimes the door won't open at all. The only reason I'm not panicked about this is because you can always get out. So it's not a safety issue.
Well, you can always get in. The electric opener is the part that doesn't work. So we're not in compliance for people that are differently able. But if you can open the door, you can get in.
I have, down here, okay. This year, Nioga did not have very many proposals for building projects that get submitted to the state for funding. And usually that funding runs anywhere from 50 to 90, 95%. I think right now they're running about 75 reimbursement from the state. And Lisa Erickson from Nioga reached out to me and said, can you get something together fast? So I took the plans that we had from the garden expansion that we wanted to do, and I reached out to Al Osborne, who did the original plans, and the woman's just a sweetie, and she was all excited about this. And Lisa wants me to come to Nioga next Thursday. The only thing I'm really worried about, I think I can get some plans, but we need cost sheets. So I gotta figure out how I'm gonna get somebody to give us, I've got some ideas, but I won't be able to tell you anything else on that until the next board meeting. But especially in light of the fact that our mortgage will be paid off, we need to be having projects. And this, so it's a better time now to be trying to go forward with this than it was before.
But just as an aside, for the folks that are relatively new, there's a pot of money that the state has for library construction. And to be perfectly honest with you, there's not a lot of library construction going on. The money is allocated by library system, in our case it's Nioga. And either the member libraries have no money to make the match, whether it's 25% or 50% or whatever, or they're pretty much up to snuff like we are. Or Barker, who needs to build a new library, they haven't done anything. The concern that Nioga has is that if the member libraries don't spend the money, next year's allocation is based on what you actually spent. So that's why Lisa, from the administration portion of there, is promoting, because A, we have a relationship with the architect. B, we have money in the bank so that the match is not, oh, we have to do a fundraiser for this. And in the scheme of things, we move ahead fairly quickly, unlike a lot of our peers. So that's why Lisa is promoting us. We did the original library, we did the solar panels, in large part with state building grants. So we have a good track record.
We get the sign out front with state building grants. So we're always looking for things that can be used. And where they run into problems, it's a little bit of a side.
This was what we were talking about.
Yes.
Design one, if anybody wanted to.
Yeah, feel free to take a look at it. When I talked to Liz and Abel Osborne, we have spent, the one thing that is not in this plan that we really wanted to include was some sort of performance area. And that would be a hard structure. We'd like it to be able to open up so that somebody could sit there for a story hour or some other sort of performance and have some storage on the back side of it. So we had a place to put the garden stuff, the outdoor games and whatever, because right now all we've got is upstairs and they have to tell me to find it. And it's not bad up there, but I don't want to turn it into a junkyard. And she was very, so the two important things that are not on there are some sort of building and some sort of shading. Probably the pergola.
Something.
Something that they
This
do.
is something that the committee will discuss beyond that.
Oh, they're not going to have time to discuss it. They are not. If I can.
We're going to make the submittal and then adjust it
Yep.
to the
If
board's.
we have any chance to get the money, it has to be done by next Thursday. Okay?
Hey,
And
just a quick aside.
No, let's keep going, before the quick aside,
Okay.
what else do we have to go over?
on my board report, I made a mistake. You did charge me with the hours, and we went back to full hours Monday through Friday. I did not go back to Saturday hours till 5 o'clock. I only went to 2. And I know some of you are okay with that, and some of you would like to see us go to 5 on Saturday. So for right now, it's 10 to 2. If you want that to change, you can all see me, and I will move forward on that as the majority wishes.
As of right now, is everyone okay with Saturday hours from 10 to 2? I could have a show of hands at least.
I am not, but everybody knows that.
We just don't have the attendance.
I would say unless you see a need arise, maybe as it gets more towards winter months and stuff like that, you might see it then.
The suggestion has been made that we could probably work towards trying to increase attendance on Saturdays if we started doing programming. We have done some I don't think we're having as great a luck getting people in for programs as I would like to see us have, and I don't know how to deal with that. I haven't found an answer, so just to add another day with the possibility of doing, and I will tell you, it doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
So-
I'm just saying that if you see a need, if
We
people
will
are saying,
change, absolutely, we will change it. Okay? Yes.
So the only time I can ever come to the library to like see a program would be a Saturday. Because like these stuff is, there's just never a time, and even some of the crafts when I drive by, every so often I'm thinking, I wish they'd say it was for little kids, because there's things that sound interesting, but then I don't want to walk in on a bunch of,
Oh, no, most of what you're seeing are probably adult ones,
really?
because the kids will say, kids take a make,
Okay.
and the adult ones
Yeah, but I
don't.
like those taken.
I know. If you just run down and take a make, as lots of people do. Yes, I see your point, Dee and I have talked about it, but you're saying really Saturday's the only time. I was going to have her repeat it in an evening.
An evening after 5 wouldn't be bad either, but for the most part,
Right.
Saturdays are my block out day to do something, interesting.
So maybe,
You and I will be in touch, and we'll just see if there's something there.
maybe the weather can be some sort of survey. Like
that might not be good.
Yeah.
what was that thing called? there's something like that that's free, so.
They give you an introductory thing.
Yeah.
So Linda, the quick aside was not a debate. Betty Sue talks about Pell Osborne. They are the landscape architects who work with King and King. So they did the original design of, I mean, not just the things you see, like the grass and the trees, but also the contours of the land and the driveway and that sort of stuff. So it's another one of the professionals that we use when we build the building, with whom we have maintained a relationship now for 14 years. And they've been very good to us. They do work in concert with King and King. And no, we did not look to somebody else to give us a quote for that, because they're so familiar with the building and the local codes enforcement. I mean, when we're throwing another professional name out, I know who it is, but I know that there are folks who don't know who all of these players are.
The one other thing that I did have them put in, I was sending this out in the last, before the last board report, was the, trustee handbook book club for anybody who is interested in knowing more about how the library boards are supposed to run. It did say here that everything will be archived.
I think I send that out in an email, the link to everybody?
I received from somebody, I can't tell you under whose name it went, but I received it.
Okay, so that's there, and we've talked about trustee development and whatever. Maybe if somebody wants to preview some of this stuff, we could see if there are little 5-minute blurbs that we could introduce in a meeting that would just give you that information. Because trying to do a whole trustee training, it is very difficult to get anybody who really wants to do that. And I don't blame them. I'm done.
That's it?
Yep.
Everything covered?
Well, there are a couple more, but it doesn't have to be, will be.
No,
they
because
come out.
it wasn't.
Okay. Train. Train is our HVAC people. We did agree to, that I think, extend the contract for 3 years when we have established a professional contract. And if you will remember, Joe Gaucho last year attended 2 meetings by Zoom to explain to us what they did, how they did it, and what the costs were. And it was decided to go forward with them, and I've been very happy with the relationship. That being said, in the bill paying part of things tonight, there will be the opportunity where you have to approve that because it is beyond what I can spend without permission. And at $7,000 some odd dollars, that will come up. So I will ask you to please do that so that we can continue the contract. Now that being said, we had to have them out here for some repair work. What was it? Something wasn't working.
The number 3 chiller.
And Kevin saw it. When he looks on a computer, he can see something not working. He called me. I then said, please contact Trey, because they have a mutual communication language. We don't have a barrier here. So he made it very clear that it was not an emergency. We were doing okay without it, but the next time they were coming to this area, we'd like to have it taken care of. They called back, I think, a number of days later, set up the appointment with me, and then called back and changed it to another day because they couldn't come. So you can clearly see this was not an emergency. Okay? When the bill came in, the parts and labor came to $717. There were 3 sets of surcharges. One was for the truck fee to come out. What Trey has done for us in the past is try to hook us up when they're doing something else in this area so that we don't have to pay the truck fee. They were here by probably 7:30 that morning, for 3 hours, or they billed for 3 hours, so clearly they're not going home. They're going to go somewhere. So I called billing several times, no one has called me back. I called Joe Gaucho, who is the man we've dealt with as the salesperson. He has been wonderful. He suggested that we pay the bill minus the surcharges, and he will see if he can get them reduced. He doesn't think they can make them all go away, but he will work on this. One was the truck charge, as I said, which I think was 65 or 85. Another one was PPP. They were here before the library opened, masking. It also covers if they're dealing with refrigerant. They weren't dealing with refrigerant. We have paid that when they dealt with refrigerant, so why are we paying $75? We can give you masks for a lot less than $75. And the other one was a $35 fuel surcharge because the price of gas has gone up. That I won't get into give up that one. But I made it very clear that I felt that some of these surcharges were money grabs and I didn't like it. So he will get back to me. In the meantime, I would like you to approve paying the $717 in good faith. And then we'll worry about the other charges when it comes, okay? The website, which I guess I didn't mention in here, I had Elizabeth Hoag reach out last week to Cole at Maison Elgin to say, I really need an update. So he and I spent probably an hour on the phone today. I think it's real close. He's hoping to have the next step within the next 10 days to 2 weeks, and then he said, I'd like you to get a panel of 4 or 5 people together to go through it, use it, see what's working and what's not. And I think there's some real nice things with it. So hopefully he was very apologetic, life happens, and we'll get there. And did I mention that we did have to reenact the HERO Act? Did I mention that? The HERO Act is what was done by the state, and we were supposed to have it finished by last April. And I just ignored it because I thought we were done. And when Kathy Hochul mandated it again, it is about how to protect the employees in a workplace environment. So this does not apply to our patrons. But what we have done is, and what I'm encouraging is, if we are wearing masks, because that's going to keep us safe, we would like you to wear them as well. And I just give them out masks, or I tell somebody else to come and get me, and we give them masks, and there are a couple of small comments, and not everybody is comfortable telling someone to put a mask on. But I filled it out. This is the sheet. Each employee got this packet, which lists everything on the HERO Act. And fortunately, the state gave a template, so it was much easier than I ever thought it would be. It just says, and your specific plans are, and I just filled them in. And then I had Barb put these together. Every person's name is on one of them, and we have a routing sheet, so we know every person has gotten it, has signed for it, and there's a copy behind the back counter. And if anybody would like this, I will be happy, or I can do it to all of you. I just didn't want to inundate you, but if you'd like to see it, I can scan it and email.
I think you also have to have a committee. It has to be some sort of committee. But that we can discuss at a later time. That, because we had a disruptive meeting.
I'm done. Yep.
Any questions for the director of the report? Here, no? So we're going to move on to reports and discussion committees. Finance committee. We've met. Bunch of motions. You can either take these all individually or as a group. How would you like to do that? We have the transfer funds from Smith Barney to 5-star down to $27,000 in August. And we have the Smith Barney Community Bank in the $20,000 for monthly expenses in August. We also have to approve and accept the payment of regular expenditures for April and May. So we need a motion on that. We have to accept the transfer funds from Smith Barney to 5-star in the amount of $26,000 for payroll expenses in September. And the transfer funds from Smith Barney Community Bank in the amount of $20,000 for monthly expenses in September. Approve and accept the regular expenditures from August. And then, for transparency, 2 bills have been paid, one to our reporter, Megan Coyle, she's relative to the member of the board, and one for me for the purchase of cookies from the life center. So, would we like to go about, might move individually or all as a group?
We make a motion to do them all as a group.
In a second?
I'll second that.
Remember I sent that separate email? We need 40 in
And for
community, not 20.
not 20, okay. So
motion? With that
Overall,
correction?
with the correction of the approved and accepted transfer funds from Smith Barney Community Bank in the amount of $40,000.
I'm sorry. Payroll, 5-star, needs to be 40. I'm so sorry.
Not 26?
Right,
The
I know.
26 is gonna be 40, okay, yes, thank you.
And the 20 is gonna be 20.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where we're at.
Okay,
Aren't we glad we're on video tonight?
give me a second
Yes, I second it with the correction.
with the correction. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm just wondering what the difference is, how come it jumped from like 20?
Because someone's got a different, you have like a different pay grade.
It's 3 paychecks in a month as opposed to 2.
So all in favor? Thank you. That, this is to be moved to the October meeting. The finance committee would like a list of the bank accounts that the Hoag Library currently has, what its purpose is, what its fees are associated, and balances. We've gone through a lot of changes, so we just want to know and present it to you what we actually, what is what. Local history didn't meet, nominations obviously didn't meet, personnel planning. The directors have talked about, the initial meeting with King Architects. Friends of the Library is in the director's report. Old business, potential amendment to bylaws, this was a discussion, was brought up by a trustee to discuss term limits. We want to have that discussion. The trustee, wanted to have term limits in the office of president, vice president, and that sort of thing.
We already have term limits for your term as a trustee.
Is it something you want to bring up and discuss, or are we okay with the way it is? Any,
If there's term limits for how long you can be a trustee, why would you need different term limits for how long you can be in a position?
and this is, you elect the president and vice president every year the same as the school board. It's the same process. This is up to you as a board. So if we're okay with it the way it is, we can make a motion to leave it the way it is. I'm looking for guidance here.
I would say leave it as it is.
Do we have a second?
I would second that.
Second by Ms. Carr, all in favor? Thank you. Personnel committee,
I sent out an email to Betty Sue and to you about trying to figure out a time that we can actually meet to figure out the evaluation thing.
okay,
And did you see my answer?
Not yet.
Okay. I said, when you said it's fine.
Okay.
And if there's a program in the afternoon, that would round out the day.
Is there any new business, anything they have to do that you want to discuss? Am I allowed to do that here?
Is it, okay. We keep talking about, not just you, but the friends, staff to some degree, talking about that there's no sense of community here. So I came up with this idea of having a little bonding experience, and I tossed it out to friends, and I tossed it out to some of the staff, and unless everybody's afraid that they don't dare tell me that they think it's stupid, most people are giving me sort of positives, except Kevin, who I know won't really touch this with his friends. Oh, but he might come for a sandwich. Lisa Gramlich does card making here with a group. I can't tell you how. But she's energetic and she's fun, and I've gone to one of them before, so I said, well, what if you came and we had pizza or sandwiches, you know, like subs cut up or whatever, and we had an evening for a couple of hours, we could have something to eat, we could be socially comfortable and not worrying about what we're saying, and we could make a couple cards and go home. And I thought if we did it in an evening, starting at early enough, what's the earliest you could do it? Can you be here?
Can I get out of work at 5?
So 6?
Yeah, that's
Okay. And then we'd have us back out of here in an hour, hour and a half, whatever. If you want to make one card, you make one. You want to make more than one. And what I said to Mike is, we'll have employees working because we are open those hours. We can take turns and shuffle in and out. So if somebody wants to come and have something to eat, somebody else can go out. So I was just working on an email to explain this. I think it was November 3rd. I can't swear that, but I will send you an email on it tomorrow. Okay? But I thought we'd do the one, because it's November, we could just do Christmas Eve stuff. And because it's early enough and whatever. So I will send it out. It is not a requirement. Nobody is going to, because those of you who come, will want to come, will go home with a couple of fun things. And if you didn't want to, it's okay too. Okay? Thank you. Oh, well, while I'm there. The Friends. You knew they were having a chair auction. And I heard you say Friends, and I was busy reading and looking over it. They're doing a chair auction. If you look on your way out, they put a couple of the chairs along the entrance back here. 3 of them have been turned in. And by 3 different people. I have one I'm going to do that I haven't started with. I have 2. You have 2 that will be coming in here, the girls.
Well, Michelle's doing both now because Claire's gone.
Okay. So if anybody wants to paint a chair, what they will do is when they get them all done, they will be set up here. It's on all our charts and stuff, and it'll be just one of those auctions where you write down, and whoever.
We still have a piano chair that we got when it was the Swan Library that was painted. It's painted like a piano. All the boys played it when they first started taking guitar lessons. So.
Oh, there's a real pretty one out there right now. With
So.
So anyway. It wasn't subtle enough. It wasn't subtle enough.
Good sign.
Yes, yes. So,
We
just,
know when it work at our meetings, and it's Elmo. Enough already. Let's move on.
so if anybody'd like to do a chair, the Friends would love it. If not, they would love to have you come and look at their chairs and bid on them and whatever. So
Is
that was,
there a type of chair? Or is
I
it-
don't know. And there can't be more. Bought from Amazon, these little bitty chairs. And she wanted to use them in the display case over here is a come on. She said, do you think we ought to sell them? I said, are you kidding me? There are people who just love this little stuff. And I'm one of them, and so I may take them home. But we'll see. So if anybody has anything, I think, anything that you could sit on, am I not about right on that, Megan?
I think so, because there were, the year that we bought that one, we bid on 3 or 4 of them just because, and there was a stool, and there was like a step stool, a little one, and then it's a small, it's like clearly a kid's chair, but it's like, it was all piano decorated, so they were all, and then there were regular sized chairs, and, yeah.
So that's gonna be October 9th.
Correct. And that's all I have on Friends right now.
Anything to be added to the next agenda? What committees have to meet? The personnel has to meet, because that's part of the budget. The buildings and grounds? Do we have anything that buildings and grounds have?
Yeah, we're gonna be doing the,
So buildings and grounds has to meet, and obviously finance.
For your October meeting, that one are absolutely November at the latest. We have to adopt a resolution that says we are not going to exceed the tax cap.
correct.
Clearly, we're not going to,
No.
but you have to have that in the
Can you add that on to the items to be added to the next agenda, and we can just do it at the next meeting?
So just put motion on not exceeding the tax cap.
That is correct.
Do we do it now?
I can do it anytime. So if you want to pass that motion.
Is
it would be
everyone
fine.
okay to do it now, and that way it's done? So,
I don't have to submit it yet, you just have to tell me you
So
agree
you wanna
that I
make-
want.
Yes, I would move in consideration of our budget this year and next, that it will not be necessary for the Hoag Library of the Swan Library Association to exceed the statutory tax cap.
we have a second.
I'll second that. That was a lot.
I know, all in
It's
favor?
still typing.
then would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn? Mrs. Harley, we have a second. All in favor? Okay, so meeting adjourned at 7:36.
Wow.
I want to thank you all for coming and taking the time. I do appreciate it.
Thanks. Who does the coins at the school for donations?
In the middle school, Brett does.
No.
Mr. Pritchard.
That's weird.
Mr. Pritchard has them.
He has them?
Yes, he does. And
Thank
if
you.
you need more,
I couldn't have answered that, I needed her.
well, Mr. Abu,
Well, I was correcting myself.
we have to stop the meeting.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right.
I was
He's probably
smart.
not even like looking yet. Be like, oh, do I need to come in and stop the meeting?
Yeah, I gave this to that.
I stopped the audio.
Oh, well done.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And using them for goal setting and.
And I had it, and I,
Oh, so we're gonna say lots of.
that's,